So good morning, everyone. So hopefully you have seen the circular related to your change in the mode of internals. Previously, I told you that we'll be having two, but on basis of the requisition of the students, it's been now only one internals what we will be having finally. So even the dates are declared when you have in the last week of May. And in this week, we will be having our lab internals as per the scheduled information posted by HOD to you all. Okay, and the list of experiments which were asked for you to do on record. So kindly see that you complete it. And demonstration videos for all the experiments will be shared. Few which are pending is already shared to HOD. So HOD will be posting back to the channel at the earliest. So this is regarding the lab internals. Prepare yourself well enough. Okay, so you should demonstrate the experiment which is given to you, what is the procedure, and the input data for the tabular column will be provided from us. You should draw the graph, show the calculation, and everything has to be uploaded back to the Google Classroom. So I will share you like what will be the time when you have to do it, everything shortly within this week. So yourself be prepared for the lab internals in this week, hopefully on 23rd and 24th. What's the date which is being told? 23rd, 24th, is it? 22nd. Yeah, 22nd and 23rd. So out of these 2 days, I'll just inform you when it is.
Ma'am, so we won't have Viva like the other lab for this one.
Yeah. We do have the Viva also. First, what you do is you will conduct the lab internal examination. After that, a Google form will be shared for you all, in which you will just answer the Viva part of it.
Okay.
Yeah. So, any doubts related to this? Shall I start up with my regular class? So in the last class, we were dealing about strain measurements, if I remember, yeah. So we were dealing about, we dealt about all the measurement parts. So measurement of force, torque, power, pressure as well. Then we had come into the strain measurement. So in that we just dealt about what do you mean by strains. So how we do the strain measurements, what were its classification. So we briefed out related to mechanical, optical, electrical strain gauges, right, in depth. And we also spoke about the advantages and disadvantages related to all the type of strain gauges under the classification for strain measurements. And we had just briefed out what you mean by electrical strain gauges and its classifications also. So we were supposed to start after the exact classification of our strain measurement instruments. In our syllabus, you have in depth to study about electrical strain gauges. Okay, so in that, the electrical resistance strain gauges, what you have to understand. Even in electrical strain gauges, there are different classification, what we have to go on. So in today's class, we'll be focusing on electrical resistance strain gauges, basically. So this also we had covered. What do you mean by electrical strain gauges? So if you want a brush out again, it is nothing but a strain gauge which changes the strain produced in the form of any electrical characteristics which are needed. So there are many electrical characteristics. So based on the requirement, the induced strain will be converted into the output electrical signals as per the requirement. So in case of electrical strain gauges, always an electrical output has to be embedded so that it magnifies the output signal what it has been received. Though, as a result, the electrical methods of strain measuring are very highly sensitive and it possesses ability to respond to dynamic strains. So you're not focusing only on the static measurements here. Electrical strain gauges are mainly meant to evaluate the dynamic characteristics of the electrical output parameters which change with respect to time. So since it is very highly sensitive, it can respond to even a minute amount of strain to that of the maximum amount of strain being induced at any period of time, and hence it responds very quickly as it is highly sensitive. So it is suitable for measurement of our dynamic strains. So in that aspect, the electrical strain gauges are classified into 4 categories. One is the capacitance, inductance, piezoelectric, and the resistance gauges. Out of these, in our syllabus, we do have for resistance gauges. Okay, so that we have to cover about here. So we are coming directly for electrical resistance strain gauges. Okay, so you have to understand what you mean by it and what are the sub classifications we do have based on the bonding type and based on the wiring type. Okay, and based on the semiconductor classification also we have under electrical resistance strain gauges. So let us start up with our topic, electrical resistance strain gauges. So it is widely used, it is the very most commonly used way for measuring the strain measurements. Why? Because it operates on the principle that electrical resistance of a conductor changes when it is subjected to mechanical deformation. So it helps easily in converting the required electrical signal which has been generated due to the induced mechanical deformation. So deformation comes into a picture when it is subjected to any kind of load. So due to deformation, the strain will be generated and that strain will be converted into the required electrical output signal. So here the electrical conductor will be bonded to a specimen always. So you should have an conductivity media. So that will be bonded to the given specimen. And along with that, you will be having an insulating cement under no load condition. So insulating cement also acts like an dielectric material. Okay. So which will form a layer between a conductive material. You'll be having a conductive material, you'll be having the specimen, and in between you'll be having an insulating medium. So here the insulating medium what we'll be using is the cement. And one thing you have to keep it in mind, so the insulating material, the cement which is being used, will not be subjected to any load. So it will be not under any loaded condition. After having the given device framed as per the requirement, okay, so one is a conductive layer and then you'll be having the specimen, and towards the other end you'll be having an insulating cement material which will not be subjected to any loads. After you have the device in hand as per the requirement, then only the load will be applied and it will produce a deformation in both the specimen and the resistance material. Okay, so you'll be having the resistance material as well as the specimen. So due to the applied load, so there will be an resistivity which will be induced, okay, both in the specimen and the insulating material. So due to the resistance which is being generated, so you should use the formula for measurement of resistance for a given element. So that will be solved by using the equation R is equal to rho times L by A. So where rho will be nothing but the resistivity of the conducting material what we are using, and L will be the length of the electrical conductor material what we are using, and A will be the cross-sectional area of the conductor. So based on the load applied, we will use this resistivity factor of the conducting material, what is the length of the conducting material we are using, and what is the cross-sectional area of the conducting material. So based on these parameters, we will be determining the change in resistance for a given element. Okay, so this is a normal general equation what we use in order to determine the change in resistance in a given conducting material. So that is in the regular case. But if the conductor is stretched, what happens? The length will increase. If the length increases, why the conductor gets stretched? because after the device is ready, we do apply the load. So based on the load applied, it could stretch or it could compress. If in case due to the applied load, intentional force, okay, if it's been stretched, why? Because it is due to the load applied, it gets stretched. So when it is stretched, the length of the conducting material will increase. At the same time, due to the increase in the length, the cross-sectional area will decrease. And as a result, the resistance will increase in the given conducting material. Okay, so it depends upon the type of the load you are applying, whether tensional force or compressive force. So based on that, you will get an enhancement in the resistance value or an reduction in the resistance value. And similarly, if the given conducting material is being compressed, then obviously this is a vice versa result what we get. So due to the compression, what happens? The length of the conducting material will compress. And as a result, the resistance gain, the resistivity factor, what we evaluate will reduce. So these are the two aspects what you have to consider in case of explaining the concept of electrical resistance strain gauge. So what do you mean by it? What is the equation being used and how the resistance changes based on the application of the load. So that you should be very clearly enough be able to explain. And further, so you should be knowing its classification. So now it is not only electrical strain gauge. Electrical strain gauge we have dealt already. Under that we have 4 classifications. In that we are just dealing with electrical resistance, electrical strain gauge of resistance type. In that electrical resistance strain gauge, we now have the classification. Okay, one is the unbonded type strain gauge. The second is the bonded type strain gauge, and the third one is the semiconductor or piezoresistive strain gauge. So these are the 3 vital broad areas of classification for electrical resistance strain gauge. So in that you should now understand one by one. So what happens in case of unbonded type of strain gauge? What happens in case of bonded? So in case of bonded type of strain gauge, so here it will be bonded in 2 types. One is by wire type and other one is the foil type. So that we have to go in depth. What do you mean by it? And lastly, it is a piezoresistor, semiconductor strain gauge. So this is a schematic sketch. How does an unbonded resistance strain gauge looks like? So here you will be having the 4 resistors which will not be bounded. So you will be having a movable element on which this will be embedded. So this movable element will be fixed on a fixed element. Okay, so this will be the diaphragm which can move to and fro based on the pressure or the load which is being applied. So this is the regular unbonded resistance strain gauge where you will be having 4 wires over here which will not be bounded, but it will be moved. It is just placed on a movable element. So it is not tightly bound either by a wire or a foil. So that we will come to know later. So now let us focus on unbonded resistance strain gauge. Okay, so in unbonded type of strain gauge, what happens is the electrical resistance element is unsupported. So you'll be having the electrical resistance element, which is nothing but our grid. So this will be unsupported because you'll be not having a thin film or a foil on which we will place the electrical resistance element. The electrical resistance element is nothing but the wires what we are using. So always the current passes through the wire. So based on the material what we are using for wire, it shows how good it is how good it is to show the resistivity for the flow of electrical current passing through it. So based on the selection of the material of the wire, it shows resistivity for the flow of current through it. Okay, so that is the thing what we are telling here. So if it is an unbounded type of strain gauge, the electrical resistant element is unsupported because it will not be bonded to any thin films or foils. You know how a foil looks like, aluminium foil, right? So it will be of that kind, in which the electrical wires will be bounded by using some adhesive material. Okay, here it is not bounded. The wires will not be clamped. It is just placed on the moving element. Okay, so it won't be bounded. It is an unbounded where you don't have any support. You have fixed kind of thing for the given wires. So what happens here is a fine wire is stretched out between two or more points. So here you can see 2 points, A and B. So a fine wire will be stretched out between two or more points. It is not necessary that you will be having only 2 points. So based on the requirement, you can have more than 2 points also. So this wire will be stretched between the given points. So it may form part of a rigid base and it is strained as shown in the figure. So since this is bounded between the 2 points, 2 points here, A and B, and if you're stretching both towards an opposite direction, what happens then? And tensile strain is being induced in the wire which is bounded between the 2 points. So due to the induced strain, so there will be change in the resistance. So a change in its resistance is measured by using a suitable circuit. So this wire has to be connected to a suitable electrical circuit. If we have studied some Ballard circuit, right? And also an simple circuitry system we had studied during the time of measurement of transducers, or any kind of simple electrical circuit, simple electrical bridge could be used in order to connect the two ends of the wire. So by connecting that to a simple respiratory current type of circuit or any other kind of thing, so you will be able to measure the change in the resistance. So in case of unbounded resistance strain gauge, you have to think first, it will not be bounded to any thin films or foils. It will be just wounded freely about the given 2 or more points, and then when these 2 points are pulled in opposite direction, what happens is, due to the pulling force in the opposite direction, the strain will be induced, and this tensile strain, because it is pulled in opposite, it has been stretched, it has not been compressed, and as a result the tensile strain will be generated. So due to the tensile strain generated or induced, there will be a change in the resistance. Okay, so the change in resistance offered by the wire for the flow of current will be measured by connecting this to an bridge circuit system. Okay, so this is about the unbounded resistance strain gauge. So here this also you can see the same thing here. So here you can see the resistance 1, resistance 2, resistance 3 and resistance 4 system, so which could be movable. So it is not clamped on any foil or thin film. So and simple example of Wheatstone bridge again could be used for understanding the concept of 4 resistors. So this is a simple example to explain how an unbounded resistance strain gauge works like. So if you want to go in depth here, you can understand. So here 4 separate resistance wires are connected electrically to form a Wheatstone bridge. We have studied about the Wheatstone bridge already during the time of strain gauge measurements experiment. So there also we dealt about the theory of what you mean by strain gauge, its classifications, not in very depth, in brief way, which was essential for solving that particular experiment. So in that aspect also we studied about the Wheatstone bridge and all. The same thing, little bit elaborative way. So here 4 separate resistance wires will be connected electrically. So all these 4 will be connected in an electrical form in order to get the required Wheatstone bridge. Okay. And here, by this, the wire is adjacent bridge arms are subjected to the strain of opposite sign. So always you see, you will be having 4 resistors. So it will be in opposite direction, A, B and C, D of opposite sign in the strain induced, because 2 will be compressed and 2 will be in under tensile force. So a combination of all the four will provide a null value, and it shows for balancing of the bridge. So these resistance wires will be wrapped around electrically insulated pins. So these resistance wires will be wrapped around it by using the insulated pins, because we need some insulating material also. I told in a strain gauge, you will be having a conductive material, right, along with the element what we have to measure, and you'll be having an insulated cement material as a basic device how a strain gauge looks. In case of unbonded things, so you will be having the resistance wires which will be wrapped around electrically by using insulated pins. So that's when the platform is moved relatively to the fixed base. So you'll be having the fixed base over here. So these are the four wires, so which are clamped around the fixed base. So on this fixed base, you have the four resistance wires. So after this fixed base, you have another platform called as a movable platform. Okay, so these are electrically insulated pins. At the tip of the wires, you see that this has been embedded by insulated pins. You cannot leave the wire end like that only without providing an insulating. It becomes short circuit. Always you should see that the ends are insulated properly, and hence the four wires what you're using will be embedded at the tip by using electrically insulated pins. So this will be placed on a fixed base, and this will be next having an movable platform. So this is the arrangement how it looks like. So what happens is when the platform is moved relatively to the fixed base, tension in the wires are either increased or decreased, and the corresponding resistance change will be calibrated in terms of strain. So you will be having the wires which is placed on the fixed base, and then the platform of the movable will be moving. So due to the moving, so they will be having the tensional force, how in which direction it is being moved. So based on that, so this could be moved either towards your left or right, to and fro movement, which helps in either stretching the towards right or left. So due to that, the tensional force will be induced. So due to induced tensional force, the strain will be generated. Okay, so due to the strain, the change in the resistance will next have to be measured. So that will be measured by using our electrical bridge circuit. So that will help to understand how the change in resistivity could be evaluated. Okay, so it should possess a built-in pre-strain in the grids and will be greater than the maximum compressive strain to be sensed. So what do you mean by it? So after the movement, the change in the resistance will be calibrated in terms of strain. This is over. So it should possess a built-in strain in the grids. So along with the strain, what has to be measured? So it will be embedded with a pre-strain value in the grids which are being assigned here. Okay, so you will be having the moving platform and the fixed platform, in which you will be having the grids on which the wires are embedded. So the pre-strain which has been embedded within the given platform should be having some value. So it helps in comparison or evaluation of the strain which has been generated. Okay, so that's what being told. And always the grid pre-strain value which is embedded within the given device will be lesser, and the measured value will be always greater. So this helps in sensing parameters. So one thing you have to keep in mind, so the device which has been developed as an unbounded resistance strain gauge will be having a built-in pre-strain values around the grids which is of negligible value and will be greater than the maximum compressive strain to be sensed. So this is about the unbounded resistance strain gauge. So the first classification we have dealt about. So then we should come into picture. What do you mean by bonded type of strain gauge? Okay, so this is a bonded type of strain gauge example. So how does it looks like? So you'll be having an entire insulating material in which the wire grid will be housed. So this wire grid, which has been housed within the insulating casing material, will be placed on an assembled gauge. So this assembled gauge will be having the terminals which could be connected here into the electrical bridge for the measurement of the change in resistance. So this is the sketch how an bonded resistance strain gauge material looks like. So it comprises of an resistance material which is bonded close to the surface whose strain has to be measured. So you'll be having a resistance metal which is bonded close to the surface whose strain has to be measured. The exploded view shows a thin wire shaped into a grid pattern, so which is cemented between the thin sheets of insulating materials such as paper or plastic. So this is the insulating material what we spoke about. So it will be housed within the insulating material. So this is the wire grid whose resistance has to be determined. So this insulating material could be either paper, plastic, whatever as per the requirement. Then the grid can also be made from thin metal foil. So the grid what we use for bonding this wire could be either a metal foil or a thin film. Those thin films are nothing but the substrates. It could be silicon substrate, okay, it could be a glass substrate on which this foil will be bonded, or else we can use a normal metal foil also on which the given grid will be bonded. So here you won't leave the grid unbonded in any case. The given wire which has to be measured for its change of resistivity or resistance will be bonded either on the substrate or substrate, I mean to say a thin film or a metal foil. Okay, so metal foil also will be having very less amount of thickness. It will be in terms of microns, usually for thin films, the thickness of microns. So it depends upon as the thickness of the bonding material you're using very thin amount. So you'll be able to get the results in a better way. So here the assembled gauge is bonded to the surface with a thin layer of adhesive. So in order to bond this wire to the foil, as I told you in the beginning, you should be having an adhesive material. So without using an adhesive material, you cannot bond the given wire grid into the substrate or into the foil. So for that we use an adhesive material. So adhesive material could be an layer of wax or any other adhesive material. So based on the selection of the wire, what you are using to be bonded with the foil, you have to select which type of adhesive you are going to use. So in case of thin film metal foil, we can go up with an adhesive material like a thin layer of wax. So all this wax will help in bonding the metal grid to the foil or to the substrate in case of thin film. So the grid experiences the same strain as the material to which it has been bonded. So the resistivity which is being offered due to the induced strain will be same for the grid as well as to the foil which is being bonded by using the layer of wax. There will be no variation in the strain induced irrespective of whether it is falling on the grid or on the adhesive material or on the foil or the thin film substrate. So the gauge is most sensitive to the strain along its axial direction. So the gauge will be more sensitive for the strain along its axial direction. It could be either in X or Y. So based on these two directions, the strain induced will be the maximum. Okay, so the gauge is more sensitive to the strain along its axial direction, while the strain in Y direction occurs based on the Poisson ratio effect. So based on the Poisson ratio induced due to the stress and strain generated in the material, you can calculate where you get the maximum strain value and where you get the lesser value. So In this way, based on the Poisson ratio effect, you can tell amount of strain induced in the y direction, but the gauge will be having more sensitivity to the strain along its axial direction, which is x. So this causes a change in resistance, and it can also lead to an error of 2% in the measured strain when using the wire bonded gauge. So what does it tells you? It helps in identifying what is the strain which has been induced along its x and y direction. Along with that, it tells that the amount of change of resistance which is being calculated by connecting to the electrical bridge circuitry system can also deviate you by an error of 2%. Why? Because it has been bonded, okay, by some adhesive material. So it obviously will be having some percentage of error due to using an adhesive material as an extra layer for bonding the wire grid into an foil. So due to that, you will be having negligible amount of error associated in the amount of value of resistivity for the flow of current, which has been measured by the help of electrical bridge circuitry system. Okay. So this is about the bonded type strain gauge. In that, now we have two classification. One is the wire type and the foil type. So this is the wire type. So in wire type, what happens is it consists of a very, even in wire type and the foil type, in both the cases, it will be bonded by using some adhesive material, and hence it comes into the category of bonded resistance strain gauge. Okay, so here in case of wire type, it consists of a very fine wire, and its specification will be always with a diameter of 0.025 mm, and it will be wounded into a grid shape as shown in the figure. So it will be wounded in such a way that it looks like an grid what you are having of equidistance between them. So the grid is cemented between the two pieces of thin paper. So the grid which has been now developed will be cemented between two pieces of thin paper. So these thin paper or the plastic will act as an insulating material, right? So you should be having a conductive material and insulating material in order to check the resistivity of the given grid wire for the flow of current. And hence here we are using two thin papers. So the grid which has been developed will be cemented between the two pieces of the thin paper with plastic or ceramic baking. So it could be either by using a plastic or by using an ceramic material. So ceramic baking is nothing but the ceramic could be developed in the form of an bulk or in the form of a very thin layer. So here we are using the ceramic baking of very thin thickness. So if it is bulk, it looks like in capsules of pellets like kind of. So it is not ceramic pellets, it is ceramic backing, plastic or ceramic backing. So this is done in order that the grid of the wire may be easily handled. So in order to handle the grid of the wire easily, for that purpose this has been developed. So you have to embed the given grid within the plastic or ceramic baking. So this acts as an insulating material as well. Okay, so this is securely bonded with a suitable cement to the surface of the member in which the strain has to be measured. So this will be bonded suitably, okay, across the surface of the grid whose strain has to be measured. So this shows how a wire type of grid is being bonded both at the top and the bottom by using plastic or ceramic backing for easy handling purpose. And this is the foil type resistance gauge. So what happens in case of foil type? These gauges usually employs a foil whose thickness is less than 0.005 mm. You have seen aluminium foils, right? So how about the thickness of the aluminium foil? So it is even lesser than that. The foil what we are using in order to paste the given wire grid is of thickness 0.005 mm. So the common form of foil type gauge usually consists of a metal foil grid element on a thin epoxy support. So here a thin epoxy layer of thickness 0.005 mm will be used. The thin epoxy layer will be always, epoxy is, if it is solidified by applying for a particular thickness, it will be a transparent, very thin layer. So on that epoxy thin layer of 0.005 mm, this wire grid will be embedded. So it acts as a supporting element and it also bonds the grid into the film. So epoxy filled with fiberglass is used for high temperatures. If you want to use this strain gauge measurement for high temperatures, then you have to embed the epoxy with the fiberglass reinforcement. If the epoxy is reinforced with fiberglass, then it will be capable to measure the strain induced in the wire grid even for high temperature applications. If it is not needed for high temperature application measurement, then you can normally go up with only the epoxy, this one material, so where the grid could be embedded. So these foil type gauges are manufactured by printing on a thin sheet of metal alloy with an acid resistance ink and then unprinted portion in H2A. Actually, this comes into entire thin film fabrication where etching is being carried out based on layer by layer stacking, how much thickness you need. So it is a wide area and then separate area of work. So you have to just know some essence related to each word because you are not focusing exactly into the thin film fabrication. So you have to just understand how this foil is being manufactured. So these foil type gauges are manufactured by printing on a thin sheet of metal alloy. So you will be selecting the type of metal alloy you need, and after selection of the metal alloy, then you will remake it into the thin sheet form. So you can go with 3D printing or any other type of thin film fabrications by soldier method or whatever which has been needed. So once this has been done, what you do it, you will spray an acid resistance ink on it and then the unprint so that it shows some printness on the layer of the sheet which has been developed. So then the unprinted portion will be etched, means it will be removed. So the acid resistance ink will show the printed portion. So the unprinted portion will be etched out, means it will be removed. So the foil gauges have the advantages of improved aesthetics. So in the etched part of the portion of the thin film, so this wire grid will be placed. So you'll be knowing the position where the wire grid has to be placed. So this thin film will act as a bonding material on which the wire grid will be placed. So you should be knowing exactly the place on which the wire grid has to be placed. So that area has to be etched out. So to etch out, what they do is once the thin sheet has been fabricated, some acid resistance ink will be sprayed on the area which is been needed. Okay, so where the print version is not there, that area will be etched out by using etching process. Hello, sir. Yes, sir. Sir. Yes, sir. हाँ. Yes, sir. Sir, I will come within 2 minutes. I'm ending up the class. Uh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Okay. I'm sorry. Okay, so here what happens is, so once this thin film has been fabricated, the area which has to be etched out to identify, always we use an acid resistance ink which will be sprayed out on the area which is needed. So the area which is not needed, so when you wash that thin film and come out, so the unprinted portion will be clearly visible, and there is an etching process where we use the wet benching section to do the etch out of the excess material. So that helps in removing the excess part of the material. So once etching out has been done, the wire grid could be placed on it. So then you'll be having a perfect pakka grip between the wire grid and the thin film which has been developed. So you will be having a proper bonding between these two. So foil gauges, so this is how the process of foil type resistance strain gauge will be developed. But here one thing you have to understand, in foil gauges, it will be having the advantages of improved hysteresis. We studied about the hysteresis loop, piezoelectric hysteresis loop, ferroelectric hysteresis loop during the time of transducers. So you know what you mean by hysteresis. So for the subjection of the voltage, it shows the saturation point, and again it can retain some of the electricity stored in it, and when the load is being removed, so it comes back in an opposite loop. So all these we have studied. So related to this foil type resistance strain gauge, due to the bonding between the good bonding between the foil and the wire grid, it helps in excelling in improving the hysteresis, because it can retain large amount of electricity in it even after the load is been removed. So that is the importance of hysteresis. So it could be also having a better fatigue life and lateral strain sensitivity. So even the strain sensitivity in lateral direction and its fatigue life can also be improved due to the bonding type which is being used over here. So, and one more thing is, this is also an advantage of it. It is thinner and more flexible. It is why flexible? Because you are using epoxy. Epoxies are usually flexible. You can use it in how you need. You can bend as per the requirement, because it is a material which is very highly flexible. It is not brittle. Okay, so, and it is thinner. So how much thinner it is, you can blend like anything where you need the movements. So it is thinner and it is more flexible. Thus it helps in permitting to be applied to fillets and sharply curved surface. So any curved surface you need, so you can blend and use it how it is required, because it is too flexible. This is other advantage. And the common wire or foil gauges are called metallic gauges. So here the wire or the foil gauges, what we speak about in general, are called officially as the metallic gauges. Okay, so this is how an foil type resistance strain gauge looks. It will be just an transparent layer, so which will be visible. So it will be made up of epoxy. If you need for high temperature measurement, you will mix the epoxy with that of the glass fibers, so that the strain gauge can be used for high temperature. So this after fabricating this thin film with the fiberglass for high temperature, then what you do is you will be spraying the acid ink, so that this the acid ink will be sprayed only in the area where you need to retain the material. So the unprinted version will be in this direction. So this unprinted version will be etched out by the etching process. So once the etching process is done, so the wire grid will be clamped in this epoxy thin film. So it helps in having a proper adhesion between the foil and the grid of the metal. So you'll be having a proper bonding, and it is very much more better than that of the wire method. Everywhere now they use foil type of strain gauge than that of the wire type. Only based on the required application the people go with the wire type, or else always the strain gauge of resistance type will become with the foil type resistance strain gauge only. So based on the how many elements you need, you can embed that either single element or more than it. Okay, so next classification is semiconductor piezoresistive. That I'll do it in the next class. So today we were not able to take exactly 1 hour. I was late by 10 to 15 minutes. Sorry for that. So tomorrow sharply by 9:30 we'll start up with the last type of electrical resistance strain gauge, which is piezoresistive strain gauges. So now if you have any doubts, you are free to ask. I hope everyone have written your name and USN number in the chat room. If anyone else have not written, kindly add on. If you have any doubts, you kindly speak up. Along with that, please see that you prepare well for your internals as well as for your lab internals as well.
Ma'am?
Yeah, please.
Ma'am, in these lab internals, how many experiments do we have?
See, I think you have received the mail from HOD, right?
Yes, ma'am. The mails, there was a PDF that he sent.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
stated that
yeah.
there will be only like the first 5 experiments that we already finished it in college, and there'll be 2 new experiments.
For the internals you're speaking.
Yes, ma'am. That's what a PDF that sir sent in the formal group was telling us.
Okay. No, in record writing, I think you have to write 10 experiments which are listed out by the sir, and the experiments which were listed in the circular. So that is only for your lab experiments. So out of that, you will be getting in random. So from part A1 and from part B1. So you have to show the demonstration for both of it. So you will be explaining orally how you perform the experiment. Later, based on the experiment, what you have got for the internals, we will provide you the input values for that particular experiment. And after your explanation, you will be allowed to draw the table in a sheet of paper. So you will show the calculation. You please keep the graph ready with you, plot the graph. So after completion, you will just upload it back to the Google Classroom. So the time schedule which will be given, hopefully 1.5 hours or 2 hours. I'll just check the circular. I will update you in the Google Classroom. Don't worry. Okay. So based on the given limited time, you should be able to upload the graphs, the procedure, and the everything what you have written to the Google Classroom. And after completion of this, I will be sharing a Google form that is purely based for our Viva voice. So you will just fill the Google form in the form of a quiz, and you will submit back in the Google Classroom only. The platform will be Google Classroom only for all. I will not.
Ma'am, we are not having any graphs.
What?
We are not having any graphs.
In the listed experiments?
No, ma'am. Means in my home.
The graph sheets are
Okay. Graph sheets are not available. Fine, no worry. At least you can try to draw the grids as per 1 centimeter, 1 centimeter. That you can make and keep it ready, right? In a plain A4 sheet of paper. That is possible, no? Tarun?
But values will be incorrect.
See, actually, we cannot give you the marks without the graphs. See that you plot the graphs, no worry. But still, okay, I'll just speak with HOD once and give you a clarification. Okay, I'll just say that some people are not having the graphs. Let me see what he answers. But in the worst case, I hope you can just draw how a graph looks like. Not too in-depth, small divisions, at least 1 centimeter, and middle, the 5 divisions, 1. Or else, do you have the this one, sketchbook something? No? Where you will be having the grids, what you were using in the first year of your graphics. You have any extra sheets which is left out in your home? Hello?
You have to look for it.
Yeah, fine. You just look for it. If any possibility, you try to get the sheets, or else you try to draw the lines, how it looks like in a graph. If it is needed in the worst case, I will just speak with the HOD sir and I will update you. Is it okay? Yeah, what to be done best if there are no graph sheets? I'll update you related to that. Don't worry. Okay.
Ma'am, in the 2 hours time, we have to finish the quiz also, or is
No,
that separate?
no, that could be done because you have to write and you have to scan and you have to upload also, right? So
Yes,
that
ma'am.
also need time. Hopefully after that for quiz you can use 10-15 minutes and then upload it.
Okay, ma'am. And which all the experiments are there, or is it selective, ma'am?
It is selective. I think it has been shared in mail and WhatsApp group also, right? Sir has
Uh,
sent you a letter in
that
PDF
has all
file.
the list of experiments that we have to write in the record, ma'am. Like that's the overall number of experiments. I
Yeah,
don't think
yeah. Okay. No. Because all 15 will not be there. And I think sir has told the 6 experiments we have done in the class. And apart from 6 experiments, there were like 3 to 4 experiments which were added on from part A because nothing was done from part A, right? So even
Yes,
those experiments were added on for your lab internals. So if you don't have that list, I will share all that also. For
yes,
writing
ma'am.
for writing purpose, that 10 experiments in the record. I think in the first week of June, your record should be ready.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am,
Ma'am,
please
which
share
10
the list.
experiments?
Yes.
It has the list of experiments and the PDF that sir sent on. The
Yeah.
doubt was that principal sir sent that circular. No, it consisted of the pattern of uh, lab IA. So it was like
Okay.
the experiments that we had done already,
Uh.
including 2 experiments that we are doing online. Only so that was the doubt, ma'am.
Okay. No, I agree. That will be possible when more experiments were covered in the college level when before coronavirus issue got arise. So in our case, we had done only part B. Part A was left out, and part B was also not fully completed. But still, we have winded out that late tool dynamometer, everything. So we have just selected the 6 which was done and some part of the experiments from part A. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, because at least 75% of the experiment should be considered for the internals or the externals, whatever, out of the available experiments. In our case, it is 15 overall what we have.
Ma'am, you please share the list of the experiments for the lab
Yeah.
internal.
Yeah. I'll do that. I'll do that by today, end of the day. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, fine. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye. I'll update you in the Google Classroom as well as in the message.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you.